I'm John, welcome to my channel, Disquiet and Dragons. In this video we're going to be doing number 70 to 61 on my favourite horror movies. So we've made it to a graveyard, which I think is quite appropriate for horror movies. We're quite close to a road, so apologies for any road noise or any bird song or anything like that. And at number 70, the first film I want to talk about is an Irish movie called The Hallow. The Hallow is a film about a family who moved to a small village in Ireland, and it's surrounded by a huge forest. The husband works for the Forestry Commission or something like that, and the locals don't take kindly to him going into the woods. They say that the creatures, the Hallow, don't like strangers within their midst. The young family, they've just moved in and they're not superstitious like the locals, so they take these warnings with a pinch of salt. However, strange things do start happening. They wonder why iron bars are covering all the windows of the house they've moved into, and one of their neighbours, who seems really quite aggressive and mean at first, he gives the wife a book that explains like the folklore of the area. If you like folk horror, definitely worth watching. Very dark, very atmospheric. That's The Hallow. And at number 69, hey, just in, we have a home invasion movie called Becky. Becky was unfortunate enough to lose her mother a year prior to the events of the film, and her and her father have got quite a strained relationship. They go to the lake house that they own for a weekend away, and the husband's girlfriend is there with her son, and they announce to Becky that they're getting engaged. Becky takes this news terribly, as she thinks it's too soon from her mother passing, and she runs away she's got like a fort in the woods. While she's in the fort with her dog, a group of convicts, escaped convicts, actually find their way to the lake house and take Becky's parents and soon-to-be stepbrother hostage. Her father lies about Becky being there, but sooner or later the convicts and prisoners, they know that Becky's around. It just becomes a fight for survival, Becky against these convicts. Absolutely fantastic film, very taut in places. Absolutely, there's some very, very brutal scenes. Check the old content warnings on this one. Fantastic film, well worth watching if you like either in small independent horror or home invasion horror. Well worth a look. That's Becky. And at number 68 we have a more well-known film, and that's 30 Days of Night. This film, absolutely fantastic vampire film. It takes place in a town in Alaska, and once every year they have a 30-day long polar night. A lot of the residents of the town move away or go on holiday during this period, but some of the people stay there or can't go away or don't have anywhere else to go. A lot of the people have left. A stranger arrives in town, and he sabotages all the communications, which leaves everybody in the town unable to contact emergency services, anything like that. And then the residents that are left, including the town sheriff, they become besieged by vampires. With it taking place solely at night, it's very, very atmospheric and a very tense film, as we follow these bands of survivors trying to survive against an onslaught of vampires. Makeup effects for the vampires are brilliant, very gory, very bloody. Absolutely great vampire film. That's 30 Days of Night. And at number 67 we have, it's an all-time classic really, and that's Hellraiser. Hellraiser follows a family. They move into a house in London, and somehow the wife of the family, her ex-lover, is in this house. He's used the Lament configuration box, opened the doorways to hell, and the wife brings men back who then, this guy who's kind of like a skeleton almost, he then kills these men that she brings back, and the more he kills, the more he becomes whole again, and eventually the old Cenobites show up, our friend Pinhead. Great film, really atmospheric, based on the Clive Barker book The Hellbound Heart. Wonderful makeup effects for the Cenobites. Doug Bradley is absolutely iconic as Pinhead, and I've got to admit it was a toss-up between the original or Hellraiser 3 for the list. I picked this one because it's a slightly more tense movie. I think it is scarier than the later films, but they're all, the first 3 films are all really good, and some of the later films are okay as well, but that's the original, that's Hellraiser. And at number 66 we have a movie called Where. This is a mix of 2 of my favourite genres, a found footage werewolf movie. The film starts off with an American family on a camping holiday in France, and one night they get brutally attacked. The French police start investigating the attacks and the murders, and one of the survivors, the wife of the family, she tells them it wasn't an animal, it was human shaped. So the police are aware of a reclusive family. It's a mother and her son. The son is just a huge individual. He doesn't really talk, he's got hair all down over his face. Very scary looking individual. So the police take him in for questioning as they suspect him for the murder. There's an attorney who specialises in human rights law, and she notices this case and she takes on the defence for this huge guy, and the rest of the film goes on from there, investigating whether he committed the crimes or not. Very interesting film, has a really good couple of twists to it. If you like either found footage or werewolf films, well worth a go, and that's Where. And as we're getting closer to number 1 and we go down the list, we're going to start hitting more and more classic films, and this is another one, and that's Demons. Demons follows a list of different characters as they're in like this old theatre building watching a film, and the film kind of bleeds into real life, and a woman, she becomes infected, she gets scratched I think, and she becomes infected and turns into a demon. Any broken skin, scratches, bites, claws, it will turn the victim into a demon, and it's just people turning into demons and people trying to escape from the demons. The effects are great, the lighting is so good, it has that real eerie 80s like fog effect that you get in films, in horror movies. Some of the practical effects, they could be a little bit dated now, but I think they still look great. Yeah, overall very gory, very squishy film. That's how I'd describe it, it's squishy. Absolutely brilliant. I preferred the original just about to the sequel, but you can't go wrong with either of them, and that's Demons. Number 64, it's another found footage film, and this one's called The Taking. The Taking follows 3 college students who are making a documentary on Alzheimer's, and they go to this house and they start interviewing a lady called Deborah Logan, who's got Alzheimer's, and her daughter's there as well. And at first it seems like she's unfortunately suffering from a very aggressive type of Alzheimer's, but as the students film more and more, stranger and stranger things start occurring. Deborah's a doctor and physician. He assures them and the daughter that it's absolutely normal for her to be doing these kinds of things, but as the film goes on, the students really don't know if it's Alzheimer's or if it's something a bit more supernatural that's happening. One thing I have to say is the actress who plays the part of Deborah Logan, Jill Larson, absolutely phenomenal. The way she plays this part is outstanding. It's one of the best acting performances that you'll see in horror. Absolutely brilliant. If you haven't seen it and you like your found footage, like ones with stories that are a bit different, definitely worth watching, and that's The Taking. And at number 63 we have Ju-on the Grudge. In Japanese folklore, those who die in a particularly tragic or emotional way are cursed to haunt that place, and anyone that comes into that place, they will attack them, thus carrying on the curse. The Grudge follows a house where such a death occurred, and a social worker is called in to investigate the family living in this house, and as the more she investigates, the scarier the occurrences become. This film is absolutely terrifying. It's one of the scariest ghost movies I've seen. If you've seen it, you know that the little boy who hides in the closet and then screams, the long-haired female ghost. We've seen them in horror films countless times since like The Ring and The Grudge, but I do prefer the original Japanese film to the remakes. Remakes aren't bad, I just prefer the original, and that's The Grudge. And at number 62, a bit controversial, some might think it's a bit low on my list, but it's It. Everyone pretty much knows what it's about. Scary Pennywise in the sewers, killing lots of children. If it was the mini-series that I was rating, it would be much higher. But unfortunately, it's movies that I'm doing, so that's why it's so low down. The reason I don't like the film as much as the miniseries is I think the actor is Bill Skarsgård. He's great as Pennywise, and the facial expressions and the body movements, they're all terrifying, but that is my problem with him. I think he's too scary for Pennywise, because Pennywise is meant to lure in children, and what kid is going near that Pennywise? No one's going near him. But so that's why I kind of prefer the miniseries. But the more recent film it's a brilliant film. It's absolutely brilliant. I haven't seen part 2 yet, so I've heard it's not as good. But Pennywise is terrifying in it. The child actors are all fantastic. They play their parts so well. It's absolutely brutal in places, as is the book. I do feel like I'm giving this film like some backhanded compliments, but I do thoroughly enjoy the film. It's really good. But as I say, if it was the miniseries, it would be much higher on the list. And that's It. And the last film we're going to talk about today, at number 61, is a bit more light-hearted than a lot of the other films on this list, and that is What We Do in the Shadows. Another vampire movie, absolutely brilliant. I just adore this film. It's one of the best horror comedies you will ever see. It's shot in a mockumentary style, and it follows the lives of 4 vampires who live in Wellington in New Zealand. It follows them and what they do at night and how they go out and how they get their victims. Some really hilarious moments. The one where they go out one night and they have a bit of a altercation with a group of werewolves is just brilliant. Definitely more, I think it's more comedy than horror, but it definitely deserves to be watched by horror fans. And if you like vampire movies, you'll absolutely love it. If you love mockumentary type things, you'll love it as well. Absolutely brilliant. The actors they all play their parts so well, and that's What We Do in the Shadows. So as always, I'd love to know in the comments if you've watched any of these, or which one of these on the list is your favourite. Maybe tell me your favourite horror movies. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments. Again, I hope you're all enjoying what you're reading or watching. Thank you ever so much for subscribing, watching, liking and commenting on my videos. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you again soon, but for now that's it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you ever so much. Cheers. Bye.